Dare I say Emma Hayes is the star?
Emma Hayes is always the star. You put her in any room and everybody's like, oh my God. It's like you could put her in a room with Messi and I'd still go to Emma Hayes first.
Is it crazy to say that the U.S. women's national team could win a World Cup today?
I mean, it's not crazy because, I mean, they've won it more than anybody. So historically, nobody's ever going to sit there and count them out. And you would truly be crazy to do it. Were the Brazil games strong enough or a show out enough to tell me that they could beat England, they could beat Spain, and confidently win? Maybe not at this very moment.
I also think it's crazy that we're talking about them winning a World Cup, and like lots of people are, and they haven't even qualified for the World Cup.
Well,
we forgot that step.
But it's just one of those things where you never want to assume anything. You really don't. But a World Cup without the U.S., a women's World Cup without the U.S. isn't a World Cup. It's not.
And I think like if we're looking at it today, there's still so much that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like the roster may look different because like right now there's players that are still not healthy.
Yep.
We haven't seen Mallory Swanson.
Yep.
So it's hard to like consider if Triple Espresso is going to be back.
Yeah.
But like, so if we compare the roster from 2024 when they won gold to now, I don't know. Do you think that team that won gold at the Paris Olympics could win the World Cup?
I feel like I have the same answer of never say never. I mean, and those players you got to think have 2 years more experience under their belts. Players like Trinity Rodman went from being a young 21, 22-year-old to now she's a 24, 25-year-old. Like now she's a grown woman. You know what not that a 21-year-old isn't, but you know what I mean? She is entering the prime of her career. Sophia Wilson also is about, like 25 now. So these are women who were kind of young women getting like into the helm of their careers. Yeah, and now they're true professionals. They're true athletes that people look up to, whereas they were still looking up to people at this last tournament. So I think that added experience gives them a boost that they didn't have in the Olympics. But there are still a lot of question marks around this team, and specifically the rosters from Brazil. And you still have players like Sam Coffey, who's injured. We've mentioned Phallon, who's also injured. So there's a lot of question marks in this, but do you think this women's team is set up currently to win the whole thing?
I think like what we saw in 2024 is very different than what we're seeing right now, because I think Emma, when she took over, like she really wanted to look at the entire pool. She wanted to look anywhere.
And she has.
And she's literally looked at the entire pool. Like every position has had multiple players come through earning caps.
Crazy number of people.
Crazy number.
Yeah.
And I think because she did that, there were players that have really made a case for potentially like going to the World Cup. We wouldn't have even known of an Avery Patterson, you know, at the 2024, Paris Olympics.
And now she's one of those names at the top of people's minds.
Right. Now she's an outside back who I think they need to have. Same with Lily Reel, right? Like she's a rookie in the NWSL. She's someone that fits into Emma's system and can play that outside back role amazing.
Yeah.
And so I think like they have made improvements since that team, but I still think there's something to be said about like having those veterans, having that style of play, that you need to have people that have gotten those reps in to win something like a World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it is going to be interesting to see like how many sort of new players get the call up.
I think there'll be a lot.
And I think there will be a lot, but I also really think you need to have veteran players on every World Cup team.
Yeah, like
just to carry you through like those hard moments, those hard matches at like the very end.
100%.
Lindsay Heaps, right? Like, yes, there are many other midfielders that have come up, but I think Lindsay Heaps, her performance needs to be, if her performance is good, the U.S. women's national team, I think, will go all the way.
She's had inconsistency problems before, and that's the biggest conversation around her is, can she show up when they need her to? And like you said, that's going to be a big point on whether or not the U.S. can do well, is if she's there and at her full capacity and everything.
I think from 2024 winning gold until now, there has been some losses, right? Like Crystal Dunn, right, retired. Yeah. Lynn Biondolo, we haven't seen her play, you know, for a while because she had a baby. Yeah. We haven't seen Mallory Swanson back on the pitch full. Sophia Wilson is working her way back and like she's thriving. Like I'm not worried about seeing her, but there have been losses. Like I think the biggest one is Alyssa Nair.
Yeah.
not having a set number one goalkeeper. Yes. That's a question mark. And then I think, in the outside back, Crystal Dunn.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think one of the positions that the U.S. isn't necessarily lacking players in is that fullback position. Mm-hmm. I think the pool right now is big enough to where as much as losing the experience and the leadership of Crystal Dunn will be a huge impact, but it's not like we're now scrambling to find a fullback to replace her. Like that is one of those positions where you feel a little more comfortable in.
Yeah, I think looking back, it is crazy the amount of talent that was in the outside back positions on the U.S. women's national team, like Kelly O'Hara, Ali Krieger, Kling.
Yeah.
They were rapid, and I do see Avery Patterson and Lily Reel fitting into that role.
Yeah.
Emily Fox naturally.
Giselle Thompson, too.
Giselle Thompson, I think she's a year away.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think she may make the World Cup roster, but I still think developmentally, physicality-wise, she needs to level up.
She's a smaller girl.
And she's super young. And I just think, if you compare her to Emily Fox, her to Avery Patterson, her to Lily Reel, she's just a step behind.
Yeah.
And
I forget how young she is, honestly. The fact that she's still a teenager blows my mind.
But, what she can do that others can't is she can freaking run that flank until the end of the game.
Yeah, she could be an extra winger if you need somebody.
Exactly. So it all depends, what they're working with. But she's going to be an interesting one to see because I'd love to see, the two sisters. I think Alyssa Thompson is a yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think just in terms of having that pace is so important for this team because she stands out in having that quickness and having that European experience. Having played now for a year outside of the NWSL gives her such a larger pool of understanding certain players and how certain teams will play in the pace of Europe versus the pace of the U.S. Understanding that at the age of 21 is huge, and having the Champions League experience is also huge.
Yeah, and she's scoring at that level too, which is remarkable.
Do you think though, or are there positions that you think don't necessarily have the depth that the U.S. does in fullback right now?
I think everywhere the U.S. women's national team has depth, but I think injury-wise, there's questions with the center back position. Okay, I think they have a very clear number two, right? So I think the starting two would be Emily Sonnet and Naomi Girma. But Emily Sonnet deals with little knocks here and there. Yeah, Naomi Girma has been a question mark because of injury. Now next, there's Tiana Davidson, who's working her way back from an ACL injury. Yeah. She's healthy and well, played at the Challenge Cup, looks strong, has played for the U.S. women's national team since coming back. But she's still someone that is coming back from a major surgery and recovery, and it takes a while. And then we're seeing Kennedy Wesley get some minutes, sometimes Emily Sams, sometimes Jordan Bugg, and then also Tara Rudd. Yeah. There are people there, but I don't think there's a very clear number two center backs behind Naomi Girma and Emily Sonnet, and that's contingent on them being healthy. Yeah. And we still have a long way to go for them to stay healthy.
Yeah, and that center back position is somewhere where you do need experience and leadership
and reps, right? You need to have sort of that experience and that time playing with one person next to you to sort of get the chemistry.
How they play, exactly. No, your back line having minutes together as a four is important overall. Yep. In terms of knowing where they're going to be, where they want to sit. Because if you, as a center back, if you get caught out, you need to know that your pairing is going to be there to back you up. Do you think that's what this last year is about leading up to the World Cup, is figuring out, okay, we've gone through all these players for the past few years, a large number of players like we've talked about. Now is this last year playing some more players consistently and getting a little bit closer to your World Cup starting 11?
I mean, if I was Eva Hayes, I would do that because I think, she's seen the pool. She's seen what she's working with. Now and she actually has said this, that she needs to have her best players playing with each other again, right? So getting Sophia Wilson and Trinity Rodman back playing together and getting serious minutes in games under their belt before qualifying is so important because there's no way you can just step on the field after being out for months and months and months and just pick up the chemistry with someone else, right? It's like me and you not seeing each other for a year and expecting us just to pick up where we left off. Maybe we could, but it's not going to be at the same level.
No, of course.
So I think that between now and then that's going to be super important.
Yeah, it's about not growing as individuals and growing as a unit and as a team. That it's always comes down to that piece of understanding where these players are going to be, being able to find them without maybe having the opportunity to scan 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Knowing where your wingers want to sit, whether they want the ball at their feet or whether they want a ball over the top and run onto it. Like, these are things they're going to have to figure out if they want to build teams like Spain that are truly a well-oiled machine.
Do you think today Spain would beat the U.S.?
In a tournament setting, I do. I think friendlies are such a toss-up always, but I think in a tournament setting, this current Spain team has just the slight edge of that winning mentality and knowing that they are coming off of a World Cup win, of a Euros finalist. They have, I would say, that slight more edge of Barcelona winning the Champions League, of that grit to get the trophy in the end. Because at the end of the day, finals, half the battle is a mental game. And going into a game knowing you can win it versus knowing that your team messes up in a final. Like Arsenal, people talk about all the time, the Arsenal men's team chokes, the England men's team choke because they have this idea of, we always lose. Hey, it's just the truth.
No, it is the truth. I think the mentality of the U.S. women's national team has always been like they're fighters. Like they fight, they fight, they
100%.
fight. And I think what's really cool to see is how all these other countries are also now fighters
growing
too,
to that
and are growing to that level.
They set the standard.
Yeah, and I think like the U.S. men, it's a very different conversation because like they've been trying to sort of catch up to what all the other countries are doing, but now on the women's side, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Like the U.S. women have 4 World Cups, 5 Olympic gold medals. Like they have more than almost anyone, you know? So I think like they're setting that standard and I think is now being matched by other countries. And that's a really good thing for the women's game.
100%.
But it makes this conversation interesting because it's like, how are they going to line up? What are they going to do that's different?
Because it was almost like the U.S. was alone at the top for a little bit, you know, and now the rest of the world, when the U.S. was doing really well 10, 15 years ago, the rest of the world was like, oh, dang, I guess we have to start taking women's footy seriously now. And they did that, and now we're seeing the effects of that.
So I was talking to Mia Hamm, and she said that both teams, the 1999ers, when she was playing, and then the team now, were the best at what they did at their time. And she said that she really doesn't like the conversation that's like, would your team have beaten this team? Because we love to do that. We love to compare.
Yeah.
Like, would the U.S. men's team lose to the U.S. women's?
Yeah.
We don't need to do that because she's right. At their time, they were the best at what they do.
Exactly.
And right now, the U.S. women's national team are the best at what they do in their time.
It's all relative at that. It's like when people try to like compare like a Pele to like a Marta or a Messi. You know what I mean? You can't compare that generation because they didn't have the science. They didn't have the hydration breaks. Whatever.
Girl.
They didn't know what we do now.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that, stood out to me was the fact that like the U.S. traveled to Brazil to play Brazil before the World Cup. And I don't know about you, but like I am so excited to see how the 2027 like World Cup in
If it was anything like those 2 games, we're in for a treat.
It was packed.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it's not like I didn't expect that, but Marta was like only on the field for like a couple minutes, but it was electric.
Yeah.
And it was such a great test for the U.S. because they were on top of them every ball.
Yep.
Like high pressure.
Yep.
Like 90
whole
minutes
game.
of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're relentless. And also just like defensively, they had to be so locked in because they were smothering them.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a great test to be in that environment for the U.S. And I wish we saw that more. Like I wish they were put in those positions. I mean, it's obviously an immense undertaking to get to Brazil, to play Brazil. But, I think if they didn't have that, I don't think they would be as positioned to do as well in the tournament.
I agree.
Coming up in the fall.
I agree, and I think it helps with that confidence bit too. Like when you're heading into a tournament, you want to be sure with what you're doing and how you're playing and how you as an individual are going to perform. And I think having a test like that against such a gritty team like Brazil in front of Brazilian fans exposes them to what it will be like in about a year, Yeah,
I think just from everything from like the off the field to on the field to the travel, like it just was so cool to see them experience it and really just have like a practice before the big game.
And even the media side of it, too. Like all the red cards that came out of that game and the controversy of Marta speaking out against what happened.
The rivalries, the call-outs on social media,
Yeah, because they're going to get so much of that next year during the World Cup, like there is every time. The media's always on top of all of this, on top of every individual mistake. So getting ready for that to happen to them is going to be big because tuning out that noise is so hard.
Do you think Brazil is ready to host a Women's World Cup?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be relatively similar to 2014 in terms of like the stadiums that they use and the
if FIFA has anything to do about it, because they're just going to carbon copy it.
Exactly. So, I mean, they have the infrastructure at the end of the day, and they clearly have the fans that are going to show up, which is a big part of it, is you want the World Cup atmosphere. You want to feel like it's the electricity. You want to be able to barely hear what's going on because the stadium's so loud. And they showed that they can get people to show up for their games, and that, to me, is the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, women's sports just isn't as respected still. You know what I mean? No matter how many records are broken.
And especially in a country where it was illegal to play.
Yeah, it's the same with like
for far too long.
England hosting the Euros a few years ago. It was illegal for women to play until like 1972 in England. And so for them to come so far in just 50 years to sell out Wembley and everything they did, I would love to see Brazil replicate that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think Emma Hayes has given this current U.S. women's team enough exposure outside of the U.S.?
I think those two friendlies that we mentioned are going to be huge, but you can never truly be prepared for a moment like this if you've never been in it. Something like a World Cup, and you hear players talk about it time and time again. You think that you're ready for the pressure. You think that you've prepared. You think you've done everything human possible, and you get in these situations and you're like, I could not have prepared for this. Like, you're either kind of ready or you're not. You know what I mean? It's not like your club games. It's not like a regular international match. It's the World Cup. Yeah. It's something that everybody, if you're into soccer at all, it's what everybody wants to go to or play in, point blank, period. And so it's hard to be prepared or have your manager prepare you for that, because it is, like we've already talked about, half of it is a mental battle, especially when it comes down to the knockouts and penalties. You can take penalties for every day for 15 years, get up to that spot in a World Cup knockout round and sky it.
Yeah.
We see it time and time again because there really isn't enough that you can do to prepare for something like this.
No, 100%.
It's you against you when it comes to something like this, and you're either going to lock in or you're not. So Emma Hayes bringing them to Brazil and showing them that environment and the hostility they could potentially have next summer is super important. Yeah. And it's probably as much as she can do in terms of getting them ready. Of course, we're going to have more friendlies ahead of next summer still. But at the end of the day, if the players aren't going to prepare themselves or aren't able to lock in themselves, which a lot of them have already proven that they can, then there's not much more that she can do to get them ready.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the players even said like that they had never experienced anything quite like that.
It was just a friendly.
And it was just a friendly. But like, I mean, I'm thinking of like a Giselle Thompson, right? Yeah. She's never been exposed to anything like that in her entire life, right? She's maybe 20, maybe not, I don't know. But like is on that pitch, right? That beaten up pitch. Packed stadium, can't even hear her own voice, can't hear voices around her.
And the game is not played on the ball.
Right, and is expected to cover some of the most, technical, fast forwards, midfielders.
Strong.
Yeah, strong, and she's fighting for a spot. Like, that's crazy, but like without that experience, I don't think we're going to have a team that can go to Brazil next year and be ready. Yeah.
So do you think having this roster with a little less international experience is going to affect them negatively?
I think it's a fine line. I think you need to have the young bucks coming up. You need to have sort of like that raw talent, because that is the future, right? Yes. And these are players that will step up in big moments, even though they're young, because they're putting everything on the line. But then you also, I think that needs to be mixed in with people that have been there before. Yeah. I don't think it should ever be a roster that's just like all new or all old heads. Like, I think it needs to be that sort of perfect blend of, it doesn't really matter your age.
Yep.
Do you fit into the system? Do you fit into the way that the U.S. is going to play? And I think Emma has done a really good job of that. Like, you have a Lily Johannes who's playing next to Lindsay Heaps, right? The two of them off the field are great friends, but they could not be more different in terms of like their age and experience. But together they're really like the perfect blend.
Yeah, I agree. I've always thought that, like you said, you can't win with a bunch of rookies and you can't win with a bunch of just experienced players.
Yeah.
You have to have that raw energy of somebody who's never been to a World Cup, plus the calm, cool collectedness of somebody who's been there 2 or 3 times.
And I think that's where the U.S. has always been really successful, right? Like, remember the tournaments when Alex Morgan was young,
Yeah.
right?
And the people that were older in that time.
And then you know, she didn't make the Olympic roster, right? And that was super controversial because it was like she could technically still be making that team, but you know, they ended up going with younger players in that position. And then, but Rapinoe was still on it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's the $1 million question, as it always is. Do you think there's a certain player on the U.S. team that dictates the success or them going far in the tournament?
No, not right now. I think there has been in the past. I think, like we already mentioned, Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, those were superstars on the team.
Like, they had to have a good tournament.
Yeah. Yes. But I don't think this team necessarily has that one standout individual that you're trying to find on the ball, like Sam Kerr. You know what I mean? Like, Australia's basically, their whole game is let's find Sam Kerr. You know what I mean? And I think the U.S., like I mentioned, has had that in the past. And you do still have big names. Like Trinity Rodman is, I like to think, a household name at this point.
But there are games where she doesn't even see the ball.
No, and that's my point.
And they still win.
Yeah, on the field, she's just part of a team. She's not that standout individual. So I do think if this team is going to go far and do well, everybody has to show up and play as a unit.
Yeah.
Unit.
I think that's a really interesting point because the Olympics, we built up Triple Espresso, right? Like, if they were performing, if they were all like scoring goals, the U.S. would win, and the U.S. did win because of that. But right now, it doesn't feel that way. Like, it's a lot of different talent, and all the players are super capable and stars in their own right. But there isn't like one superstar.
No.
But in all the years past, even like going to other World Cups, there's always been a kind of a U.S. women's national team star.
Yeah, it's kind of felt like, until right now, I feel like we're kind of into the peak of a generation of those Trinities and the Sophias. But I felt like the past maybe 4 or 5 years, it's been kind of in the middle of a generation. You know what I mean? These players that we've mentioned were young. They were 20, they were 21. But then you also had like the Emily Sonnet still. And it didn't really feel like there was a standout generation. It feels like now we're no longer in the middle of anything anymore, and this generation is coming up.
Yeah.
Because there was like a transitional period a little while, and now Emma Hayes has come in and kind of made this like back into a full force with a cohesive team.
Yeah. Dare I say Emma Hayes is the star?
Emma Hayes is always the star. You put her in any room and everybody's like, oh my God. It's like you could put her in a room with Messi and I'd still go to Emma Hayes first.
Is there a team that you would love to see the U.S. play before qualifiers?
I think it would be great to see them play Spain.
Honestly.
I think as a friendly, that would really show them the true level, because as much as Brazil is a great team, I don't think they're quite at the technical level of a Spain. And so to put them against a team that does play very tactically will be a big showing point, because the U.S. has tactics, but they're also quite physical. And so to play a team that relies more on tactics than the physical side of it will be a really important test for them.
I was really happy to see that the U.S. played Japan 3 times.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really important.
That's a very techie team.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really interesting way to play a team 3 times.
Yeah.
The way that the U.S. did it was they played one roster for 2 of the games and then a different roster for 1 of the games.
Yeah.
Because they were trying some things, but at the same time, like, they were really trying to prepare like they would for the World Cup. So I think like playing Japan and Brazil were like really important, critical tests for the U.S. But like you, I would get so excited to see them play Spain, maybe a Germany.
The thing that I really like about choosing Japan and Brazil for those set of friendlies is they're 2 teams with very different identities. Like I mentioned, Japan is
but clear identities.
Yes. Yeah. Like Japan, for all my life, has been a technical team. They're quick on the ball. They want to play quick. They know what they're going to do with the ball before they get it. Almost every player can dribble. But then you have Brazil where they're so strong, they're fast, super high press, super high intensity. Like, you're getting such a good mix of, like, how do you want your team to set up and play with these individuals, but against two very different teams?
Okay, I have a question. Do you think the U.S. has an identity yet?
Yeah, I think the U.S. women's national team identity is winning mentality. If they don't win, it's a disappointing tournament. Mm-hmm. If they don't make it to the final, they have failed that tournament. And I do think that can be the identity, is that they're winners, they're champions, and they have this grit to get them there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we're talking about them winning the World Cup, not talking about them qualifying for the World Cup, because it's almost like that can't even be an option.
No, it's you either win or it's a failure of a tournament. And that's how, for my whole life, the U.S. has always been. And that's why last World Cup, them leaving so early was such a huge, huge topic, because that's just not something that had really happened in my life.
I don't think it also is talked enough about, like, that shift that happened, though, after, like, they had that such disappointing run, right? Like, they
took it by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, they were really able to build back up from what I think a lot of people thought was going to be, for years to come, more and more, like, devastating losses. Yeah. So I think this World Cup in particular is going to be really, really interesting, just to see, like, at what level are we at now?
Has she taken them to a whole new level from
Are we
at
a different level, and now is everyone else trying to get to where we are? Or is it more just going to be sort of like, who's the best at that tournament at this time?
Yeah. Like,
because that happens in tournaments.
Totally.
It's not always the best team that wins. The best team that has the best tournament.
100%. It's all about your game management and keeping the players healthy that you need to, and not getting exhausted super early on is always probably the biggest part of that, I would say, for teams that, like the U.S. and Spain, that want to go far every single time.
How confident are you that the U.S. women's national team will make it to the finals of the World Cup 27 in Brazil? FIFA.
I'm still not incredibly confident because of the lack of a super strong starting 11. But mind you, I said the exact same thing about the U.S. men's team before going in. I felt like until their last friendly ahead of this men's World Cup, they didn't have a super set starting 11. There were still question marks about who the goalkeeper was, who the striker was going to be, who was going to be next to Chris Richards. There were so many question marks. And then they came out and they shocked Paraguay and they shocked the world and they won their group. Like, so I could say this about the U.S. and be like, oh, like, I do think it's important for them to have, like, a really strong starting 11 and a consistent starting 11 going into this. But then even if they don't, they could turn it on its head going into that first match. Yeah. And I do think that first match sets the tone for the whole thing, builds the momentum, builds the hype. Because if you lose that first one, I mean, never say never, Argentina lost their first match against Saudi Arabia last men's World Cup and then won the whole thing. Yeah. So, of course, the first match will never determine anything. But being prepared and heading into it, I want to see some consistency and a winning streak.
I want to see Kat Macario. I want to see certain players.
I want her to be healthy.
I want to see certain players healthy for the World Cup, because I do think, like, the U.S. will go far, will make it to the finals, contingent on certain players like Sophia Wilson, Kat Macario, Naomi Girma being healthy.
Yeah.
I think without them, I don't think they're going to go to the finals.
All strikers being healthy and return from maternity leave, who gets that number 9?
I think it's Sophia Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Kat Macario is healthy, Ali Settner is healthy.
Yeah, because I think Kat Macario could play the 10 and be just as effective. Yeah. And I think, like, she's had to sort of, like, adapt into becoming a 9 for the U.S. team, especially when Sophia Wilson was out. And she did a great job, but, like, Sophia Wilson back to a defender is super comfortable on the ball. And I think, 100%. Like, just imagine, like, having Kat Macario underneath her and having that option.
The creativity that would
having
come.
Like, Rose Lavelle underneath you. It's just, it's insane.
And you throw in, like, the youth of, like, Olivia Moultrie in there, who's quick, creative, and a smart player. Yep. And that's an incredible.
Yeah, and will always find your front foot. Like, she just can always. And then I think having Sophia Wilson at the 9, I think I want to say a Trinity Rodman, and I'd even go and say someone like an Emma Sears.
Okay.
That might be a hot take, but I think her athleticism, her work rate, and her fighting mentality.
She's a grinder.
She's a sleeper.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't.
You said two completely different words right there.
Yes, but it's getting to the same point. Like, she's a sleeper in that, like, you don't expect really her to be, but she's the kind of player that wins games for teams
because she's just not talked about as much.
Yeah, and she just doesn't have the same experience. But like her and Michelle Cooper, their work rate is right on par with like some of the greats. And I think like it's going to be interesting to see like how that front three shapes up. Yeah. And I don't think it will be Triple Espresso in the starting 11, but I do think we will see that rotation, hopefully in qualifiers, hopefully leading up to the World Cup. But I'm not sure that all three are going to be quite in lockstep as they once were yet.
Yeah. Let me throw that question back to you. At this point in time, do you see the U.S. women's national team making it to the finals and winning?
No. I think at this time, no, but I think that's just because not everybody is healthy and there still are so many question marks. I'm still confused with who the number one keeper is. Yeah. And, you know, that's kind of a scary spot to be in. Do I think Claudia Dickey, Mandy McGlynn, Phallon are all capable? Yes. But I would feel a lot more confident as a fan, as someone that consumes women's soccer all the time, to know that, like, we have a keeper set in stone, to know that like my center backs are both healthy, to know that like Lindsay Heaps or Sam Coffey like are without a doubt.
Who are you picking out of that right now though? Who's your six?
I'm picking Lindsay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that because of experience?
I think that's because of experience, and also I like the way that she plays with Lily. Okay. I like the way that she plays with Rose, and I like the way that she gets up the field.
Yeah. I mean, her and Rose have been playing together for how long
I
now?
think Sam Coffey is super trusted. I think she's really, really good on the ball, like is just a true six.
Yeah, and I think the WSL has just pushed her up that one more level.
100%. And but yeah, no, I just think right now there are too many question marks with injuries. There are too many question marks with like certain players like being ready or not, that I don't think today that they're going to win the finals. Yeah. But I think they could. Yeah. And
of course.
I'm putting my
never count the US women's national
team
I'm
not counting them off at all. I honestly feel like me saying this means that they're going to go far because they have that mentality. Yeah. Like they kind of like to be.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, they'll never be underdogs.
No.
But coming off of last World Cup, people are it's already going to be a conversation of, are they ready for this? Is it going to be a repeat of that failure, or can they recreate the iconic moments that they have, you know? And so it's just about, like you said, they're going to want to prove people wrong if people are against them.
I really want to see them get scrappier in front of the box. I want to see them score more goals. Like when I think about the U.S. women's national team historically, I think of teams that score goals, right? I think of the Abby Wambach headers. I think of Mia Hamm. I think of just like putting the ball in the back of the net. And even with Triple Espresso, they did that. I'm not sure right now who that who that player is that no matter what happens can get the ball in the back of the net.
We talked about there just isn't right now a target star player, I don't think. And I don't think they necessarily need that target star player. I think the whole team can kind of be the star, but it doesn't hurt to have that person that you know that is going to score every single time. Is Emma Hayes' legacy and time with the U.S. women's national team contingent on them winning this World Cup or just having a better performance than the last one?
I don't think her as a coach and the way that we view her, I don't think anyone's going to view her any differently. Yeah. Maybe in the U.S., but I think just like what she's done at Chelsea, already what she's done with the U.S. women's national team, as somebody that admires her and admires coaches, I won't judge her as a coach, but I do think in terms of like the way that we view the sport in the U.S., she needs to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like I'm not going to view her as a coach any better or worse if they win or lose. But I think like in terms of respecting the sport in this country, they need to win.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about it too. I don't think there are that many individuals in modern day women's soccer that have had the impact in terms of speaking out, but also showing up on the pitch and winning trophies as she has. Yeah. I think in terms of coaches and players that are around right now, she is one of those names that is at the top of everybody's mind, whether it's somebody who like speaks out for others or just has like a tactical genius. You know what I mean? And so I don't think that losing this World Cup will make the women's soccer community see her as any less. Yeah. It might make them question her international, her ability to do it at the international level versus at the club level.
Yeah.
If they crash out early again. But no matter what, Emma Hayes is loved.
It is a crazy standard though for her because, you know, she won the Olympic gold with the U.S. women's national team. What was it, like a month after taking over the team?
Literally.
And now there is more pressure on her because there's been more time.
Yes.
Like she's really trying to do things differently. She's building off of like all the success in the history of the U.S. women's national team, but she has kind of flipped a lot of things on its head.
Yeah.
So I think if they win the World Cup, it's going to be massive for her and for the program because she has sort of changed a lot.
Yeah. I always wonder about, like, let's say we get like a U.S. Lionesses final. Does she have any thought in the back of her mind if I want England to win? Do you think there's any part of her gut that would be sad if she beats England and they lose a World Cup final? Or do you think you become so loyal to
I
the
think
team
she's
that
a
you're
human,
working
so
for?
yeah, I do. And I think like she's very much a human, which is kind of crazy because she operates like she's on this whole other level. Like,
she is so easy to humanize at the end of the day.
But I think she can probably like step outside of being a coach, step outside her allegiance with the U.S. women's national team, and remember like being a young girl and, you know, loving watching England play.
Yeah.
So I think she probably wouldn't feel bad, but would feel like the human connection and empathy for the other side too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's hard not to. Like, you grow up in an area, you're always going, or not always, because there are a lot of people from Liverpool who feel negative loyalty to England and the nation as a whole.
Yeah.
But it's hard to shake that at the end of the day. Like, my dad has been here for 30-something, almost 40 years. Probably he'll never not feel English, you know?
Yeah.
So she's probably the same.
And you? Who are you picking if it's a England-U.S. final?
Hey, that's a win for me at the end of the day. An England-U.S.
such
final.
a PR answer.
No, but it's the truth. I would want England to win because England has never won a Women's World Cup. So of course, that's who I'm going to line with. But if it's a U.S.-England final, I can't really lose. But I think I'd be more upset if the Lionesses lost. I think I would cry if the Lionesses lost.
You're kind of in just a winning position.
Low-key, yes. No, high-key, yes.
Yeah.
But there would definitely be like sad tears if England lost. But I think I'd only have happy tears for England if they won. No sad tears for the U.S. if they lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Period. Do you think the U.S. women's national team today could win the World Cup?
Let
us
know
in
the
comments.
Like
and
subscribe
to
No
White
Shorts.